Welcome to Small Biz Mama, episode 2. This is the second in 3 episodes about things you can control. And this episode is things you can control in your business. So welcome to the podcast. I'm so glad that you've joined us. I hope that if you haven't listened to episode 1, that you'll stop right now and you'll listen to episode 1 first, because that is the first episode in this series of 3 about things you can control. And episode 1 is about life. And I just think it's incredibly important that we figure out what we can control in our lives first, because that will give you the grounding in order to be able to really take control of your business in these difficult circumstances. So let's talk about what you can control in your business. I know for many of you, the virus has either shut down your businesses or greatly impacted your business. And so you may be sitting there thinking, I don't even know what the point of listening to this episode is because my business is shut down. So there's nothing I can control about my business. And that's really not true. I try to teach my bookkeepers in bookkeeper training school that as business owners, we are leaders, right? And even if you have a really small business or a home-based business, people in the community look up to business owners as, kind of the people that take charge, the people that really make the community what it is, right? And I think it's really hard for a lot of communities right now to see their favorite businesses closed, right? I know there's a number of Facebook groups for my town and for my area, and people are talking about how they miss getting their nails done, and they miss getting their hair done, and they miss their stylist, and they miss their favorite coffee shop. And it's interesting how the businesses in our community really help ground us, right, in our routine. And people are missing that right now. So, I think a lot of people, especially a lot of business owners, things feel so out of control right now. And I totally get that. And I think a lot of the strategies that we talked about in the first episode, I think can help you here as well, right? So hopefully you'll go back and you'll listen to that. But let's talk about what we can control. Okay, so I think the first thing that we can control is we can control the actions that we take, right? So even if your business is shut down, you can decide you can apply for SBA financial assistance. And if you go to smallbizmama.com, we have a whole page that is devoted to resources for for business resources, life resources, parenting resources, all sorts of things dealing with the COVID-19 virus. And they're also in the show notes for this episode, you're going to find the links to applying for disaster assistance. There is a tremendous amount of money out there to help small businesses, but you have to act in order to get it. And some of this stuff is really easy to apply for yourself. There's a grant program. It's a $10,000. They're calling it a forgivable loan, but it's essentially a grant. And it comes really, really fast. It takes 3 days to come if you qualify. And it's something that you can do, and it's something that's really easy to fill out. Okay. It took me about 10 minutes to go through and do it. I actually walked a whole bunch of business owners through it. And most of them, once they kind of like sat down and started to act, it took them about 15 minutes to fill it out. It's really not that bad. So, take action. Make sure that you're watching, your bank balances. Make sure that if you're going to get behind on something financially, that you reach out Don't wait until your payments are late. Don't wait till you start getting late notices. I know this sucks to have to call people and say, I can't pay you. Um, how can we work this out? But that is much better than burying your head in the sand. I know a lot of landlords that are working with people, the utilities are working with people, credit card companies are working with, like, everybody's working with people. Um, but you have to take action. You can't just sit there and bury your head in the sand. That is not going to get you through this. And I know it sucks. It sucks. Can we just acknowledge for a second that this sucks? Okay. All right. We good? Okay. Now take action. All right. It's time to get it's time for you to decide that you are going to keep your business through this. Um, it's interesting. I've been reading a lot. I've been doing a lot of like mindset stuff in the last couple of days because I had the same issue, right? And for my business, right? And there are some industries that right now we are like the busiest we've ever been. Okay. So like my accounting firm is insane crazy busy because it's technically tax season, even though they've extended the deadline to July 15th for everybody for all payments and for all tax returns. But I've got businesses that they want to, they're applying for funding. They've got questions about how we're going to get through this. So like my firm is crazy, crazy busy right now. But I know that's not the case for everybody, right? And even, you know, and it's funny because there's part of me, that I sit there and I go, could we not be this busy right now? Like, really, is that possible? Because I don't have, like, it's so hard to get the bandwidth for it, right? Um, so I've been doing a lot of mindset stuff, and looking a lot at like, what can I control? What can I do? What, processes can I put in place to make sure that I'm still getting things done? Um, but it's taking action, right? And even I know this is hard because you've got your kids home and you probably have other family members home, maybe your spouse is home, your parents might be there, you might have, siblings with you, your college kids are home. I get it. Things are crazy right now. Um, so you may only have, an hour, maybe 2 hours, to be able to do things for your business right now. And so it's critically important to figure out what are the things that have to get done. And I will tell you that sometimes what has to get done changes after you've made your plan for the day. Um, yesterday I had all these plans for what I was going to do. Um, and then I started getting notified from clients that said, hey, the disaster relief application is out. Like, can you help us with this? And my entire day just it pivoted, right? I had to decide that no, I'm not going to do what I was planning to do today. I'm going to go help people instead, um, which was awesome, which was absolutely awesome. Um, that leads me to my second point. You can control how you treat people. Um, and yesterday was a great day because I got to help a lot of people yesterday. And we get to control how we treat our employees and how we treat even just, when you go if you're going to the grocery store or you're getting delivery, it's funny. So Eric and we made this little sign that says thank you. And when we get something delivered, we knock on the window. When the person turns around, like, thank you. And we like wave and smile. And, we're trying to do what we can to treat people well. Because I just think it's critically important. Like, everybody's on edge right now. Everybody is like at the end of their rope, right? And if we can't treat each other well and with dignity and respect, this is going to get a lot worse before it gets better. And so you really can control how you treat people. Are you going to get into that fight with somebody online? Are you going to yell at the customer service person who picks up the phone? Um, you can decide, right? So I always make sure, one of the things that I'm doing, like a concrete thing, is before I pick up the phone, um, I had to call Target the other day because they missed something in one of our orders and they charged us for it. And before I got on the phone, it was something for Eric. So I just took a couple deep breaths and I said, okay, who do I want to be, right, on this phone call? And I said, I want to be calm. I want to be nice. I want to show the person that, I understand that they're going through a lot and it's not their fault that my order was wrong. Um, that's an easy thing that we can do, right? Um, and my next point, and it ties into, it ties into how you treat people. How are you going to lead, right? How are you going to lead your team? What kind of example are you going to show? Um, and not just, lead the people inside your organization, but even how are you going to lead your customers? Um, you're gonna have customers that leave you. You are gonna have customers who can't afford to pay you. Um, and we can lead with grace, right, and with strength, um, or we can not. And I hope you choose. I don't want you to choose not. I want you to, you know, this is a test of our leadership, right? This is a test of our character, and you can choose to lead well, right? You have control over how you lead, and I know it's hard. It's interesting because I think a lot of people, I've heard a lot of people, in the last 20 years since I've kind of started my career, you often hear people say, um, people say it's not personal, it's business. Right now, most of what's going on is not personal, right? It's business. Um, there are going to be people who don't have the money to pay you. Um, there are going to be people who are freaking out, who don't know what to do. And the way that you lead, um, is really going to make a difference, right? Don't burn bridges right now. Don't be angry right now. Um, because these people may come back later on. Um, and so I think it's critically important that we watch ourselves, right? And we watch how we react, how we lead. Um, because it's hard for everybody right now, right? And I think a lot of times we're so caught up in what we're doing, right? And we're so caught up in where we are that we're not thinking about, oh yeah, my clients. I have a lot of clients that their businesses are shut down. And so, I'm respectful of that. I understand that some of my clients are going to pay me more slowly than normal. I understand that I've got clients that are just freaked out right now. And so I'm trying to put myself in their shoes, right? And that's one thing too, is that the more grounded that you are, the more centered you are, right? And the more you feel like you're in control, the more you can help other people, right? And so, I've had like marketing folks reach out to me and been like, so, how can I connect these people up with you, my clients up with you, so you can help them with their loan applications? And I'm like, look, you know, um, just give them the same website I gave you and just say, hey, this is available. You might want to talk to your accountant about it. But it's funny because, a lot of times we say, don't, if you're a marketer, don't be an accountant. If you're, an attorney, don't be an accountant. We're trying to all keep our boundaries and things. But I think at this at this time, if you find information out there and it's a good source, it's the SBA, right? Um, Share that with your customers, share that with your clients. Be a beacon of good information. I think, that's why it's critically important, I think, to have an email list. If you don't have one, start building one up. And if nothing else, to say, hey, I'm going to share business resources to help you get through this. Um, and start building up that list. Because I think there are a lot of people out there that are kind of being silent, that are so worried about themselves that they're not really growing. They're not trying to grow. They're just not in a good space right now. And so if you are in a good space and you can help other people, um, and I'm not saying work for free. I'm not saying that at all. Um, but reach out to people, send useful information, build connections, right? And that's really my fourth point today. My fourth point is, you can control how many connections you make. You can control how many people you reach out to. And I'll tell you right now, it's hard, right? So, I have bookkeeper training school. And, my bookkeepers are like, I want to reach out to these people. I want to reach out to these people. And I'm like, okay, let's lead, right, with helpful information, right? Lead with helpful information, and then, follow up with, hey, if you need any help, I'm a bookkeeper and I'd be happy to help you. But if you lead with, hey, I'm a bookkeeper and I'm looking for new clients, and it probably won't be received very well right now, right? But you can lead with, hey, here's some information about the new SBA loans. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but I just wanted to send this out to local businesses, or I'm sending this out to, this type of business that you want, whatever business you want to work with. But I think often when business owners make goals, their goal is about, how many new customers they can get. I can't control whether or not somebody signs with me, right? And I also can't control the trash truck honking at my son because it's trash day. That's another thing we can't control. We can't control the background noise in our lives right now. Which is funny because neither can anybody else. If you watch the news right now, you've got kids running around in the background of interviews. It's awesome. Because I just sit there as a small business owner and go, this has been our life forever. Welcome. So I think it's awesome. I think it's great. So you can't control how many people sign with you, but you can control how many people you connect with. And so if you have, if you got goals right now that have to do with, signing clients or generating a certain amount of revenue or anything like that, I would consider changing those goals to goals that you can control, right? So I can control how many people I connect with. I can control how many emails I send to business owners saying, hey, here's the SBA loan information in case you don't have it. Those are the kinds of things I can control, but I can't control how other people are going to react. And I think that's just a really good thing to keep in mind all the time, but especially right now. Those people who serve well and who lead well are going to do very well coming out of this, I think. I know, because I've seen it before. I've seen it in other situations, not necessarily this dramatic, this drastic, but that's typically, the people who lead well are remembered. And so keep that in mind with your business. So the things that you can control in your business, you can control the actions that you take. And I'd highly recommend, if you haven't looked into the SBA financing, that you look into that, because there's a lot of money out there and some of it you don't have to repay. How you treat people, how you lead inside your organization and in your community, and how many connections you make through this. I think it's incredibly important as business owners that we we lead and we set the standard for how, how people should be treated right now. So if you have any questions or you need the link to the SBA financial assistance programs, you can go to smallbizmama.com. Check out the show notes for episode 2. I hope that you will listen to episode 3, which is out right now. And I hope that you will subscribe to this podcast on whatever platform you're listening on, so that I can continue to bring you useful information, and maybe a little bit of hope in times like this. All right, guys, thank you so much, and I will see you next time.
Thank you for listening to Small Biz Mama with Kristen Ingram. If you'd like to learn how to create more margin in your life, please visit us at smallbizmama.com. That's smallbizmama.com.